Hey Garage Squad, do I have a story for you? Let me mute the TV real quick. I'm watching y'all. Well, it all started back in 1996. At the time, I was just divorced. I was 21, right? Yeah, 21 years old. Just divorced. And I was walking everywhere, back and forth to work, here and there, whatever. Wasn't a good time in my life. But on one of my little walks, I found my car. My car. It's a 1961 Mercury Monterey 4-door sedan. Yeah, I know. It's not the popular one. But there was something about that car. I didn't know what it was at first. I saw the taillights and I was like, ooh, that's a good looking Impala from a distance. And I got close and I realized it had fins, because that's all I could see of it at the time. It was parked in a garage. Lots of stuff packed on top of it, blanket, shit like that. Excuse my language. I'll try to watch that. Well, I went up, knocked on the door of this house, and a little old lady answered the door. And I've been trying to rack my brain of what her name was, and I can't remember. But she told me the story about this car. It was her and her husband bought it from the Ford dealership there in the town that I lived in, which was Denton, Texas. Bill Utter Ford. And she told me that she was the original owner, her and her husband. They bought it brand new, and that was the only car that they had ever had. He had a couple others, but together that was theirs. And then I believe it was 77. He had a heart attack pulling it into the garage, and that's where the car stayed until I got a hold of it in 1996. Now, it wasn't as simple as just simply going up there and taking a for sale sign to her and saying, hey, I'm here to buy your car. It took me a few months to finally convince her that I was going to take care of this car. And she sold it to me. $800. That's what I paid for that car. $800. I put a battery in it, changed the fluids, and it started up. Blew me away. It was kind of choppy at first, but it ran. And well, I wasn't walking no more. I drove that car for almost 2 years. And I rebuilt the motor in it. It's original motor. Pulled the heads off of it. Did all that. And it was a great car. It was a great car. And then I saw a 63 chop top Beetle. And I thought to myself, man, there ain't no way he'd be willing to trade, but it would be a cool trade. Well, come to find out, the guy was willing to trade me. Trade me very easily too. Found out why. Well, the car was from Mexico and none of the numbers matched any of the paperwork that he gave me for it. And by the time I realized that there was just not going to be a possibility to even register this Beetle, I went back to the house that we did the trade at. And it was title for title. Straight up swap, Went to the house and a guy told me that, no, he didn't live there. In fact, he showed up at the house a little bit before I got there and asked to use the restroom. When I got there, he come walking out of the house, so I assumed that he lived there. Well, now I'm stuck with a Volkswagen Beetle that I can't legally drive on the road, and my 61 Mercury is gone. 1998. Well, during this time, for the 20 years after that, I'd always get on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace and all those, and I would do a search for 1961, and every now and then a car would pop up, but it was never mine. It was always definitely not mine, convertible, 2-door, wrong color, definitely wasn't mine. In fact, I've ever only seen 2 other cars in person, and I know of a small handful of these cars. Well, finally in 2018, one popped up. Like looking at this ad, and it looks a lot like mine, but different at the same time. I had a set of Kragers, Krager SS's on mine, and normal hot rodder look. But the engine, when the pictures of the engine bay, I was like, that really looks like mine. One thing that would definitely make it mine is a broke piece of trim on the driver's recorder, where while I still owned it the first time, a young lady ran a stop sign and hit me right there, and broke the chrome. And you couldn't tell it in the pictures, but it wasn't too far away. It was down near Houston and LaGrange, and at the time I was living in Fort Worth, and this is during this 20-year span. I had remarried my ex-wife. We were together for 10 years, and the year before we got divorced, much like how it happened the first time. It's funny that it's like my car knew while I was married it couldn't come back, but after I was divorced, in fact it was 4 months after I was divorced, I found my car. Now keep in mind, at this point I still wasn't 100% sure it was mine. I call up my brother. I had the money to buy it again, and called my brother up. It's like, hey, I think I found a Mercury I want to go take a look at. It could be mine. It may not be. It probably isn't. It's been 20 years. What's the likelihood of that, And but I call up my brother, and he's down there in Austin, and I go down there, pick him up, and pick up my car dolly, because I got a little 1-axle car dolly. Well, I go down there to this bar that this car's sitting at, because they're using it as like a roadside marker, draw people's attention. And that car gets attention. It does. Well, I come pulling up, and I couldn't see the trim that I needed to see as we pulled in. I had to go to talk to the girl in the bar and make sure that it was okay that the bartender, young lady named Margarita. Or I think it was Marguerite, but that's what always stuck. Well, I go in there, while my brother starts looking at the car. I let her know that, she's like, oh no, we've been expecting you. I was like, great, no problem. I come out of the bar, and the first words out of my brother's mouth is, you're not gonna believe this. I'm like, come on, for real? He's like, dude, I think this is your car. And sure enough, I come around the corner of the side of the truck, and that chrome piece is broke. I know how that chrome piece got broke. In fact, I kind of kicked myself later for not looking for the piece that got broke off. And I'm like, dude, this can't be real. It's been 20 years, and nobody's taken a saw to it. Nobody's wrecked it. No, it's not ended up in a junkyard. It can't be my car. He's like, dude, look at the driver's window. The driver's window, the day that happened, I slammed the door, of course. And the window dropped down into the door. Well, the window mechanism made an arc in the window tint. That tint was still on the car. That arc was still etched in the glass. In fact, I think it still is now. I was like, dude, this is my car. We go and pop the hood, and the reason that engine bay looked so familiar is because I painted that when I rebuilt the motor the first time, pulled the pistons, did the whole honing the cylinders and all that. The glass fuel filter that I put on the fuel line in front of the carburetor, I put that on there. It's mine. This is your car. This is your car. And I'm sitting in there inside the passenger seat, looking through the paperwork in the glove box, because the guy had some in there, and it was old registrations and stuff, and there was nothing old enough back to when I had it in 98, 96 through 98. But from 2004, I think, up, he still had it. It's like, dang. I was like, so I didn't have anything paper saying it was mine, although it was. I sat in that seat and I was like, dude, this is my car. 100% this is my car. My brother was like, well, don't let the guy know, keep hush hush, I was like, it's all right. It wasn't shortly after that, the owner of the bar, the guy that owned the car, he showed up there, him and his son. He tossed me the keys. He's like, it runs. I'm like, great. And I could look down the front wheels and I could see that the front suspension really needed to be replaced, redone, restored. The bushings were shot. Oh, they're shot. I was like, you know what? I need to drive it. He's like, yeah, no, it runs, drives. I mean, head on down the road if you want to. I'm like, I'm just going to run down the road, make sure it goes into gears, and make sure, and I'll come right on back. I ain't going very far. He's like, oh, no, that's no problem. I get back over there, and that was the first time that my daughter was with me. My then 17-year-old daughter, who had never seen the car, had always heard stories about it, was there with me. And the first time I got back in that car in 20 years, she got to be the one next to me. We drove down the street. She saw the grin on my face. I saw the grin on hers. Yeah, we were together the way we were supposed to be. Well, we get back to the bar or this guy's property, and he's wanting $3,800 for it. I got back there and I had every intention of talking him down. It didn't matter. The money didn't matter. I pull in and he's like, what do you think? It's like, it's kind of, I think I need to give you some money because I'm taking my car home. He's like, huh? I was like, I was the second owner to this car. I bought it from the original owner out of Denton. And he's like, oh, no, I don't think so. I'm like the fourth owner. I'm like, no, sir. You're the sixth. You're the sixth. Because he told me a little bit about his backstory to where he got it. And apparently my car, after the gentleman swindled me out of it, everybody had just been hopping it from carport to garage to carport to now in front of this guy's bar. And he would take it in on the weekends. He only brought it out, he would take it in during the week and then only bring it out on the weekends to park it in front of the bar. And I was like, no, sir. There's two people that they forgot about. I'm one of them. And we loaded it up, and I drove it. We pulled it all the way back to Fort Worth, where I live. And I started putting money in it. Yeah. I got the Edelbrock ProFlow 4. That's so difficult to say. Fuel injection on it. The fuel sump. I've got Willwood disc brakes. I've got a brand new set to go all the way around, so it'll have 4-wheel disc brakes instead of just the front. The first time around, I just got a Chinese knockoff, and well, let's just say that all that's coming off. But got Willwood to go all the way around, master cylinder. I rebuilt the front suspension, although the problem with the front suspension is I don't have the crooked bolt front suspension like they do in the early Galaxies. I've got a triple bushing lead control arm bushing on each side. It's a straight bolt, but it's triple bushings. It's a link style bushing. Nobody makes those except for I think one guy in the UK, and well, I'm not paying $600 for 3 bushings. Ain't happening. So I'm getting lower control arms ordered for it. Fat Man Fabrication, lower control arms. I bought the fuel injection in 2020, and it's on the car. It's not finished installed yet. It's all there. I just need to finish it. But Garage Squad, I need help. I've got about 3 months before I'm out of this apartment that I'm living in, where I've got the car currently stored. My girlfriend's got a house, and of course she's got a 2-car garage, and I can easily bring the car over there. I've got 2 cars, the 61 Mercury and then my 66 Rambler Ambassador 990, but I mean, that's not a project that we'd be worrying about. It's about the Mercury. I want to get my car running. Go through it, make sure it's all good to go, so I can take my daughter on another ride in a car that I'm worried that I'm going to run out of time. I work a bunch, and I'm here now. It's 1:30 in the morning. I'm worried that I'm going to run out of time, that I'm not going to be able to realize just going to a car show with my daughter and my girlfriend, that something's going to happen, and then my daughter's going to be stuck with a car that she don't know anything, how to do anything with, what to do anything with. I want it to be a good car for her, not to give to her, but for when I'm gone, she can drive it to car shows, meets, and remember her dad. I want it to be something that's going to be trouble-free for her. That once a month or so she can hop in, drive down to the store, and realize that I'm right there with her the whole time. Hear my voice in her head. My daughter is all I've got. My brothers are in other states, and my oldest brother, he's in Dubai. He works over there. The government contract thing, I don't know. But I'd love to be able to get my brothers together, hop in the car, drive down Route 66, go to Vegas, and see that car in the lights, just cruising down that strip. Me, my brothers, and now my 22, soon to be 22-year-old daughter. Cars have been in our family since before I was a thought. And cars will be in my daughter's family long after I'm gone. She knows that when I pass, she gets the car. And I've asked her to do me one favor. Always keep it in the garage. And never let her husband, boyfriend, whatever, drive it. My car's not far off. It just needs another set of hands. I get usually anywhere from 14 to 28 days off. I can make it happen. I just need help. And that's where I think y'all come in. Garage Squad, help me with this. Help me realize this dream for me and my daughter. I'm so close. I just need help. It'd be a good show. I really think so. It's a car that most people will never see in their lifetime. It's not your typical GTO, your Mustang, your Camaro, the El Caminos, your Mopars. It's something different and something so cool. Low, slow, cruising. Yeah. Help me.